Do the greatest and easiest handmade homemade noodles even exist? Yes, and they're these. Biang noodles are the hand-pulled noodle to end all homemade hand-pulled noodles. Inspired by my trip to Xi'an, China, I went there and I had one of the greatest bowls of noodles in my life. This dish is a little bit time-consuming in the sense of there's a long braise, but it's all inactive time. It's super, super easy and incredibly impressive to make for somebody. The one thing I will say, I think it is challenging, but if you make this at home, it might just be the best noodles you've ever eaten in your entire life. That being said, let's make this, shall we? We're gonna start by hand making our noodles. No fancy equipment necessary. Then we'll braise our meat, prep the rest of our toppings, and finally we'll stretch and boil our noodles and assemble what might be the greatest bowl of at-home noodles ever. We're gonna start with the most important element of a noodle dish, and that is the noodle. We have 550 grams, which is 3 2/3 of a cup of all-purpose flour into a large bowl, and 2 1/4 teaspoon or 8 grams of salt. You can use kosher salt, you can also use fine sea salt, but just understand that if you're gonna switch between the two, you should probably stick with just the gram portion. All right, so I'm gonna give that a light mix by hand. I always mix my doughs by hand because I think it's important that you feel the dough so you can tell how hydrated it is, how it's feeling in your hand. Using a tool kind of just doesn't cut it. So you're gonna have 275 grams of water, which is around 1 cup plus 2.5 tablespoons. And you're gonna mix this until it forms a shaggy dough. Then you'll knead it a little bit by hand. It's not gonna come totally together. You're gonna get a little bit of a crumbly dough, that's okay. It takes a little bit of time, some elbow grease. You just want it to have no more dry bits remaining. You want it to at least be one singular mass. Should look like this. Now you can see we're getting close to being done, right? We still have a pretty firm dough, but there's still some dry bits in there. I'm just gonna keep kneading that against those dry bits until it starts to pick it up. If it's easier, you can also take this out of the bowl and knead it outside of the bowl. Okay, now, once that comes together, right, there's not really any stuck bits of flour left in here. The dough is gonna feel pretty firm. It's gonna be a little craggly. It's not gonna be like your typical bread dough or anything like that where it's perfectly smooth. That's totally fine because the rest time is what's gonna make this noodle. So once you've gotten to this stage, the best thing you can do is take a big sheet of plastic wrap like this, place your dough in the center. You're gonna fold one side all the way over. And you can see that there's an opening here on both sides, right? There's plastic wrap on the bottom, plastic wrap on the top. I want you to close it completely. You're gonna fold this side in and over, top to bottom, and fold it all the way around the dough. Now at this stage, your dough is completely encased in plastic wrap. There should be absolutely no bubbles. There should be no air coming inside. If you are worried about it, wrap it again. No air, okay? That's the key, no air, okay? Into the bowl. Let that rest for 20 minutes. Now, while that's resting, we're gonna start one of the longest parts of the recipe, which is the braised pork. If you're gonna make these noodles, think about this. You're going through the trouble of making your own noodles, which is already beautiful as it is. We should make something that is worthy of these laborious, beautiful, perfect noodles. And that is the juiciest, most succulent pork. So let's start working on that. We have 2 pounds of boneless pork shoulder. This could be in the form of what would be labeled as pork shoulder. This is actually technically Boston butt, which is a part of the shoulder. You're gonna cut that into 2-inch chunks. They don't have to be perfect because we're gonna chop them up later anyway. All right. This is another 2 pounds of skinless, obviously boneless, pork belly. Same exact concept, right? 2-inch chunks or squares. This is maybe even a little bit lean for pork belly. I would choose pork belly that's like a little bit more moderately fatty like this. Although the pork shoulder is fatty by nature, once it's braised down, it's actually gonna come across as quite lean, and this is the fat to the lean. So that's gonna go in with the pork into a big bowl. Now let's braise. We have a 6 to 7 quart Dutch oven. Inside this, we're going to add 1.5 cups of a pork stock, 3/4 of a cup of Shaoxing wine. You could also just do more stock if you want, but the Shaoxing wine is obviously flavor. And 3/4 of a cup soy sauce. It's really important to make sure that your stock is not seasoned with salt. Otherwise, this is gonna be way too salty. You're gonna add all your aromatics, the star anise, the garlic, the ginger. That'll go in. Then you'll set this to medium-high heat, bring it to a boil, and then finally, reduce it to low to a nice steady simmer. Now that it's been reduced to a simmer, we're gonna nestle in our meat. You can sear the meat if you want beforehand. It's not necessary at all because as this reduces, it's gonna kind of caramelize on the outside. It's up to you. I think this is easier. It's already taking long enough as it is, and trust me, this is gonna be plenty flavorful from this braise. Just nestle it in there. It's okay if the pieces touch, don't worry, don't be shy. Just find ways to nestle it in there. It's gonna be a tight fit, that's okay. So probably your boiling has gone back down. Crank it back up if you need to. Again, once it comes up to a boil, reduce the heat to low, bring it to a simmer.
While we wait for our pork to come back to a simmer, let's make a quick cartouche.
So you have a sheet of parchment paper that's this size of a baking sheet. You're gonna fold it in half like a book, crease that line, turn it towards you so the short end is facing you. Now you're gonna fold it over again like a book. So when you do this, if you look at this, you have open end here that connects here, So this part is open, this part is closed. All of these are all open with nothing closed. Another end here, which is part open, part closed. But there is one point where everything is closed except for your fold that you made here. At that point, you're going to take the short side, fold it over itself towards the point, fold it over itself again, kind of like you're folding a paper airplane. You're just gonna keep folding it until you've reached the very last end of it. So you're left with this shape. You're gonna cut the tip of that off, like a 1/4 inch of it. We're gonna measure it to the pot. I want this point to go right in the center of the pot. That's about right there. I'll make a small incision on the inside of the pot. And then wherever that incision is, you're gonna cut across, just like that. Then when you unfold this, look at this. Bang, dude, cartouche. That's gonna go gently on top and then our lid. You could skip the cartouche, but if you do, it will reduce much, much faster. It won't quite concentrate those flavors as well. So I would highly recommend that you do the cartouche. Set this into an oven set to 300 Fahrenheit for 3 to 3.5 hours, or until that meat is ridiculously tender. And do note, you should check it once every maybe 45 minutes to an hour. If for some reason the liquid is reducing too much, or it's looking like it's about to be completely gone, just add a little bit of water, about a 1/2 cup at a time, to make sure that it never fully reduces.
While that's in the oven, take out your rested dough.
You're gonna give this a light knead for another 3 to 4 minutes, just until it's super, super smooth as you can get it. It should come together quickly, but if it doesn't, just keep kneading it. And then you'll just let it rest for another 5 to 10 minutes wrapped in plastic wrap, just so that it loosens up a little before we shape it. Okay, this is rested. We're gonna take the plastic wrap off. At this point, the dough is so smooth, so supple, it's ready to become a noodle. I can hear you hear it? See, told you. This dough does dry out pretty easily. So very quickly, I want you to roll this into an 8-inch log. And then you're gonna quickly oil it very, very lightly with neutral tasting oil. It could be avocado oil, vegetable oil, peanut oil, I really don't care, just neutral tasting. This is crucial, the oil, because the oil is what's going to prevent it from drying out, which will literally ruin the process. So just very thin veneer, like the tiniest little drop, and then I just brush it on over the whole thing. Okay, now at this stage, we're ready for the next step. Got a beautiful oily log. We're going to set our ruler here. We've got our 8 inches. Then I'm gonna take a knife and I'm gonna make little incisions at 1-inch intervals. Okay, and that should leave you with a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because it's 8 inches, you have 8 1-inch segments. So where those notches are, you're gonna slice with your knife very gently. Don't press too much, just kind of saw. And as you're doing that, we have a little 1/4 sheet tray here, oil in the bottom, same neutral tasting oil. We're gonna brush the bottom of that pretty generously with oil so they don't stick. You're gonna place those in there. So we're gonna cut and place. And then just repeat that with all your dough. All right, dough's ready. So first I'm gonna brush all the cut sides with oil, and I'm gonna lightly kind of form that into a round. I'm gonna do that with all of these so that they're less oval-like. All right, now at this stage, you're gonna take a round, set it down onto a cutting board or a work surface, and I want you to very gently roll it into about a 6-inch sort of rough oval rectangle. You're gonna repeat that with all your pieces of dough. I know I keep reiterating it, but this is really the key here. Make sure that they're all evenly brushed with oil on both sides. And then you're going to gently lay these in and kind of shingle them like this in a sheet tray very nicely. Now, fully wrap this in plastic wrap so that no air can get in here whatsoever. Now, you can let these rest at room temperature for an hour and go straight into this, but here's the beauty of these noodles. You can also place this in the fridge for up to 3 whole days before you stretch them. The only thing you need to know is let them come back up to room temperature before stretching. So, we'll rest, and then we'll stretch. The pork is done. It's been braising, it's succulent, or hopefully it is. It smells insane. Oh, it's like you can smell the sweet fragrance of the star anise, but also that rich sort of roast pork smell. Oh, the soy has reduced down. Oh yeah, this is ready. Now we're gonna take all of our pork carefully out of the braising liquid because it's extremely soft. You can use a spider, you can use a slotted spoon, really whatever you got. God, it smells so good. It's just like garlicky and delicious. It kind of reminds me of like a pork adobo almost, but obviously more Chinese flavors, especially the scent of that star anise is absurd. I mean, look at this, look. Do you see that jiggling? I can't concentrate when I'm looking at that, I'll tell you that much. If you get some of the garlic while pulling this out, great. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, now once you strain all this out, do not throw this liquid away, really yet or at all for that matter. Now at this stage, you can either shred this by hand or you can chop it up. It's up to you, but I'm gonna chop mine. So I've got a bowl. If you don't wanna chop it, the shredding portion is pretty simple, right? You take some of the meat and you just shred it. That's it. It should literally fall apart. I mean, this is, if you throw it, it'll shred itself. I mean, that's insane. Shredding it is fine. It works great. It's insanely tender. The only thing I don't like about shredding is you end up with more like threads of meat, which is fine. You will have that one way or another. I like chopping it just because number one, that's what a lot of the noodle shops tend to do. And number two, you end up with more sort of chunky pieces instead of threads of meat. You end up with chunky meat. So like, see, some of it gets broken up, some of it gets cut. You could chop it a little more if you want, right? Boom, that's done. And then you're gonna repeat that with all of your meat. The one thing I will ask, do not throw away any of the fat at all. Super crucial. We're doing equal parts pork belly, equal parts shoulder. So you've got the leanness of the shoulder, the meatiness of it, and you've got the fattiness of the pork belly. Toss that together a little bit. Take that, boom, into a bowl. I mean, look at this, dude. I mean, not only is it soft, it's incredibly juicy. All right. At this stage, your meat's pretty much done. You can kind of toss it together so it's evenly mixed. Be aware that this is super hot, so this will probably burn you if you don't pay attention. Okay, so you've got all your beautiful braised meat. This is your moment to taste it. Tastes awesome, but I want some of that braising liquid in there. The braising liquid is super salty, so you're gonna use this as your seasoning. Just kind of ladle it in there. This is why we didn't throw it away earlier. Ladle it in, add some flavor, some fat back to it, but more importantly, some salt. Right, so now we can taste it again. Beautiful. All right, now you can cover this with plastic wrap and just keep it warm. You can do that in a low oven. It'll stay hot like this for a while, honestly, because it's in its own fat. But if you're gonna hold it for longer, warm oven. Also, you could do this several days ahead of time and just wrap this up in plastic wrap, chill it in the fridge, it'll turn into a big solid block. And then when you're ready to serve, if you put it in a metal bowl, you can just throw that bowl into the oven at like 300 Fahrenheit just until it's hot throughout and you're ready to serve right away. So this could also be frozen, by the way. You could do this a month in advance and freeze it. Unlimited options here. You don't gotta do this the day of.
I would argue that this is one of the most important toppings in the dish.
Sort of a Chinese spinach kind of vibe going on here. We have 2 tablespoons of lard, not butter. You could do vegetable oil, but lard is a little bit more, you know, we're staying in the realm of the same flavor profiles here, right? We got pork, we got lard. So medium heat in a wok. You can also do this in a large pan, a saute pan, a saucier, but a wok just feels right. Now once that's fully melted and hot, you're gonna add in your garlic. Just let that cook just until fragrant. It's gonna happen pretty quickly, like literally 20, 30 seconds. We have half a pound of spinach going in. Obviously, this is gonna reduce down quite a bit. You're just gonna kind of toss that together lightly, being careful not to burn yourself, and then reduce the heat to medium and let that cook until all your spinach is wilted. Should take like 2-3 minutes. Now while that's going, we're gonna add half a teaspoon of ground white pepper and 1 tablespoon of soy sauce.
Then stir to coat all your spinach with the seasonings, giving it a nice toss to make sure it's cooked evenly throughout.
Okay, once this is wilted like this, turn the heat off, you're done. I don't want you to cook this spinach until it's complete mush. I want you to cook it in a way that it retains all that vibrant color, but also the stems have some texture to them. I don't want them to be mushy. I want them to be nice and soft and tender and succulent, and then a little bit of crunch on the stems. All right, you wanna get that out of the pan quickly, place that into a bowl or on a plate, anything you got nearby, and that is done. You can always take a little bit and taste it. If you feel like it needs more salt, I would add it before doing that so you can toss it in the pan. But I'm pretty happy with this, it tastes good. If you do wanna add more salt, I would add it via actual seasoning salt, not soy sauce, because soy sauce will add more liquid.
Now to make our flavor base for the bowl, starting with fresh garlic.
The chop on this garlic is super important. You really want it to be as fine as you can go. More importantly, you want it to be even. You don't want one chunk of garlic that's this big and one that's this big. You want them all to be kind of the same. So you've seen me do it a million times. Flat side of the knife, bang. We're a majority of the way done there. You got 5 cloves of garlic here. So it's mostly done. Now you just need to run your knife through it a few times. Back and forth, bring it together, and again.
Making it as finely chopped as you can.
Okay, that's done. Garlic, ready.
Now for one of the more critical elements. Add half a cup of lard to a medium sauce pot set over medium heat and let that cook until it's hot and shimmering, about 350 Fahrenheit. Even if you need to heat it back up later, that's fine. It must be 350 when you use it, because when you serve, you're essentially gonna pour that hot smoking fat directly over a pile of chili and garlic, which is the most important part of this bowl of noodles. They will not turn out correctly if you don't do this. It creates the glossy, rich emulsion, but it also creates essentially a quickie chili oil that is so iconic to this dish and really easy to do.
We're gonna make these noodles, but you have to set up your bowls. This makes enough for 6 total bowls. So line up your bowls. We're in chef mode, okay? This is the bear. You should be stressed out. You should be scared. No, I'm just kidding. 6 bowls, boom, boom, boom. I have 1 here for the example. And to each bowl, you're gonna add a tablespoon of any soy sauce you like. This is usukuchi. And then 1 tablespoon of a Chinese black vinegar of choice. I like this brand. A small pinch of sugar and a generous pinch of MSG. Then you're just gonna stir that together just to make sure that all dissolves. And similar to ramen, you put your base in there and then all the broth and everything goes in. This is your flavorful base. Now, let's complete the rest of this. The final step is to cook the noodles. When you stretch these noodles, hand pulling, you gotta be ready to go. There is no delay. Once they're pulled, you boil them. So you can do a couple of these at a time, but the second that you've pulled and torn them, you really need to get them in the water. First thing we're gonna do is lay one of these down. And before stretching, I'm gonna take the chopstick, you could use a skewer, and we're just gonna make a line by lightly pressing and dragging, almost like we're cutting it, straight through the center of that dough. That's the guiding line for tearing the noodle after we pull it. So you're gonna grab this noodle, you're not gonna hold it out here, you're actually gonna hold it underhanded, so your thumbs are on top. And first you're gonna stretch it just to shoulder width. Then you're going to stretch very gently while you slap it against the counter. So you can kind of see I'm going up and down. I'm not going like this. I'm just going straight up and down and slowly carrying it out. That slap, that's the biang. This will take some practice. It may not go perfectly the first time, and that's okay. Even if it's not perfect, the noodles will pull one way or another, and you will end up with a noodle. And that's the beauty of this recipe. It can be a little imperfect. Now, once that's about 4 feet long, you're then going to take the center. You see that seam? You're gonna pinch and pull apart. It should tear, and you're gonna pull all along that seam and tear it into 2 pieces. I mean, look how easy this is. That's it, you're done with the noodles. No tools really required, no fancy pasta roller or anything like that necessary. You have noodles, boom, look at that. Now these are ready to boil. I'm gonna go ahead and do another one just so it's ready.
And just repeat the same steps as before.
See, and once you start doing it, they kind of come together pretty fast. Now, I haven't done all of mine, but you could very easily do all of them. I have a little mound of noodles here that's ready to go in the pot. Let's get them in there. Let's make sure that they're separated. We got boiling water over here, and those are gonna go in like that. These cook very, very, very quickly, guys. They're fresh noodles. They're not gonna cook in 5 minutes. They're gonna cook in more like 60 to 90 seconds. So you could very easily just cook these to bowl, right? And then let them sit and then serve them. Now, we've made it
to your pre-prepared bowl.
Add a decently sized portion of your noodles. This makes enough for 4 to 6 bowls, depending on how hungry you are. Add a nice mound of your braised pork. I went a little light on this bowl of noodles. You could put way more than that. Next, you'll add some of your spinach,
followed by a generous tablespoon of crushed toasted sesame seeds.
Then in a little mound, you're gonna start with a small spoonful of doubanjiang, followed by a little bit of your finely chopped garlic, and then top with a generous spoonful of Sichuan chili flake. Then you're gonna pour on top your hot lard or neutral tasting oil
directly over the pile of chili and garlic.
Stir and look at that. Time to serve. We got everything already mixed up. The juice from the meat is emulsified with the noodles. That little bit of hot lard going over the Sichuan chili flakes has dyed this a beautiful red. It looks like a chili oil, but it's kind of become its own thing. It's like its own little sauce. Question is, how does it taste? Guys, this is bringing me back. We made this bowl of noodles because I wanted you to be able to make the best noodles. That was my hope, right? We tried. We always maximum effort. We didn't try. We did. This genuinely reminds me and takes me back to Xi'an, China. This was the bowl of noodles that I had that I have been thinking of every day since I went there. The texture is there. I think their noodles were slightly better than mine. I'll admit, maybe a lot better. But these noodles are still extremely good, better than any store-bought noodle you're ever gonna get. The chew, the density of it, but forget about that for a second. The flavor of this is impeccable. Super salty umami, spicy, but not too spicy. I think it's tolerable by most. It's the kind of spice that's like warming, not attack your face. Garlicky, rich, not too fatty at all. And then there's that little bit of acidity and sweetness from the Chinese black vinegar. We recently did a chili garlic noodle that was another Chinese inspired dish, and this one topped that one. This one's even better than that one. So what more could you want? Links in the description for the recipe as usual. Love you so much, subscribe, bye.